Thanks for having me, dude.
So tell me about what you're involved with the New York Young Republican Club and how you plan on activating young voters.
Yeah, so I'm the executive secretary currently. I used to be the vice president, but I'm part of the executive committee. And ever since Gavin Wax, the president of the club, and I took over the New York Young Republicans with our crew of 20 committed volunteers to make up the original board, we were always intent on growing our ranks, our membership, but not only that, and give those folks a place, a facility to be able to come together, share ideas, get to know each other, but also to activate and deploy those people to different political needs areas, wherever it is. Whether that's a deployment to knock on doors, whether that's a protest in favor of President Trump to show him support, or even some operational support, like the Trump Bronx rally. That was,
It was great. I was there.
Yeah, that was a historic event.
Right.
A Republican hadn't come in 40 years. To
Ronald Reagan,
and he didn't exactly have a warm reception.
No,
either.
he didn't. No.
Right, but Trump did, and our club, we brought over 60, 70 volunteers to help run that event and do all the promo. We had street promo going on. We had billboards in the Bronx, right? And so this is the kind of effort that we're looking to activate and to cultivate at the club. We're at Turning Point USA. This is one of the largest conferences to happen every year, multiple times a year, attracting some of the youngest, brightest conservative stars and stars to be in America. Some even, come from all over the world.
Right.
And so this is the kind of place that we want to look to identify that talent and then eventually activate that talent to not just be activists that are protesting, but also personalities in the media and staffers and elected officials in government. And that's what we look to do every day, because the future that's going to be running this country is quite literally in this room right now.
Now, so let's focus on New York, because you've already signaled that it's grown a lot, the New York Republican Club. What do you think is driving the hunger for conservatism in New York that's typically very left-leaning, very Democrat voting? What do you think is the reason for the shift?
Well, I think in New York City, that's for the longest time, obviously, it's been a high-tax state. It's obviously been a place where real estate is not very affordable, but that was something that was still tenable for a long time until COVID really happened, and a lot of businesses got wiped away. Real estate has just kind of gone through, it first took the dip, but now it's gone through the roof again. And inflation, honestly, I think the number one thing really driving the youth to come and vote to the right, becoming a Republican, is this inflation. And not only that, but the idea of home ownership and home affordability, right? And it's not just happening in New York. I think we were lucky, we were maybe smart to identify what was going to happen in New York with the young people back 5-6 years ago. But you're starting to see worldwide that the sentiment and the patterns that are driving the political decisions of the youth all over the world are similar or the same. They're starting to see that taxation at 30% of what I make is already a huge bite out of my income.
Right.
But then you turn around and then print a ton of money to the point that you devalue the currency that's left in my pocket by another 20%. And so what you're left with, before I take $1 out of my pocket to spend it, 50% of it
Right.
has gone to taxes and inflation. And so for young people, this is hitting them real hard. They're not able to save. They're living they're not living paycheck to paycheck. They're living credit card payment to credit card payment, right? And so this and being unable to save, unable to get that nest egg together to put towards a home and owning a home, which might also allow them to get married and start families. This process is not happening as young people have been told all their lives that this is what they're supposed to do. It's not happening. It's becoming totally unaffordable. And the review that I hear from a lot of young people is, listen, the American dream, in order for me to try and participate in it, has become an American nightmare. And quite frankly, if I don't want to live this nightmare, I'd rather just declare the American dream dead. And
Right.
that's what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to find the young people who don't want to let the American dream die.
Now, so many people place that blame, and rightly so, on Joe Biden. How do you think Joe Biden would be received in the South Bronx today? Because it is a blue state, but he doesn't really seem to draw a crowd anywhere or generate any enthusiasm. So what do you think that region or any other boroughs would view Joe Biden? Would he be received warmly?
I don't think he'll be received at all, right?
Yeah.
I think that there's for the lack of enthusiasm is the best that he can get, because on the other side of that is a lot of anger on the situations right now, the lived experiences of these folks in the Bronx. Listen, they've been lied to by Democrats for 50, 60 years, ever since LBJ really kind of helped move that alignment. These folks have been lied to for a very long time. And so for them, Joe Biden is just another embodiment of that, right? And so when they know that not only is Donald Trump different, but that he has the energy and the vision for change, right? This is another change election that we're seeing. And I think that those folks in the Bronx, those constituencies, those demographics, they are ready and hungry for something new, because they know whatever is happening now is not working.
It definitely seems like the perfect storm for Trump in so many of these states that used to be blue strongholds. He's signaled that he wants to make a play for New York. I was there at the rally, as were you. I sensed a hunger for it. It was organic. I spoke with people who are from, I'd say, where are you from? 2 blocks over, 3 blocks over. It was local people. So with that, leading up to the election, do you believe he could at least make a legitimate play for New York this year?
I think that there's a legitimate play to be made in New York. Lee Zeldin in his governor's race came up 9 points short.
Right.
Look, if we are able to build on that, and we're able to chip away another 4 or 5 points, hey, maybe we don't get the presidency, but a bunch of House seats. We just kept a bunch of House seats, or maybe even flipped an additional 1 or 2. And then the down ticket effect of that as well has huge implications on the local governance of New York, which is obviously something that needs to be addressed.
Right.
But on a national level, we're talking, if we close up another 4 or 5 points, those are a bunch of congressional seats that are in our pocket. And not only that, we have now put the Democrats in official defense in New York, where they have to now spend money, a place that they've totally neglected for so long.
Exactly. And so the other thing that people don't realize, because he's all over the country, President Trump, he's a New Yorker.
Yes.
And people there do love that. I spoke with so many people there. They said he's from the neighborhood. They kept saying he basically lives right here. Even though he's in Florida or in the White House, he is a New Yorker. So it certainly plays into his favor right now. So Vish, thank you for joining me today. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.